Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network on YouTube presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. And before we get into our Week 17 fantasy talk, please, if you haven't, like and subscribe to Uneducated Network, where you see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many other shows on our channel. We are more than just a YouTube channel. We are a way of life. So please, subscribe to Uneducated Network on YouTube. What are you guys waiting for? Do it right now. With that being said, that was a lot. Let's go ahead and talk NFL fantasy week 17. This is one of the weirdest weeks of fantasy football, and this is why when I do my own league, I don't like doing week 17 fantasy. I like to end it the championship game on week 16 because week 17 depends on what's going on. A lot of guys will or will not be playing. Now that is kind of the beauty of fantasy as well, where you got to go beyond your measurements, and some guys like that. I just don't like that. I like to play the best guys at the best times, and that's why I don't do week 17. Now, there is a league I'm in personally that I have a week 17 matchup. Thank God, because right now we're kind of, it's a two-rounder, and I'm kind of losing now right now, so I need every break I can get. But still, that being said, week 17 is strange because you got guys like Pittsburgh, Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell. We don't know what the situation is going to be. Yes, they might play a half and be done because they might know the outcome of the New England game versus the Jets. So you don't really want to, if you have Big Ben or you have Le'Veon Bell, you kind of don't want to start them. You can't. You can't trust that, especially if this is the championship game. Whatever league you're in, this is for all the marbles. I wouldn't start Le'Veon Bell. I wouldn't start Ben Roethlisberger as well. Same thing with the Eagles. Nick Foles and all those weapons he has, Alshon Jeffrey and Jay Ajayi, all those guys. You don't want to start those guys as well. I'm pretty sure they're all out anyways, but they haven't really come out and said, hey, we're going to not play. And let's not get fooled with Jacksonville. Jacksonville is saying that they will not, that they will continue to play everyone and play to win a game. I don't believe that one bit. I believe by the first or second quarter, guys like I hope Leonard Fournette doesn't even play in this game. So he's part of my fantasy, and I have him out. I'm not taking that risk at all. But you got guys like Cole, who just came in to his own shell. He might be sitting out. He was hot the last three or 4 weeks for fantasy owners, and he might sit out just because, or have a setback because another quarterback's in there. So I'm on the fence for, be very careful with those kind of things. Even New England, once New England it gets a comfortable lead, probably in the third or fourth quarter against the Jets, they might take out Tom Brady, Gronkowski. You never know how that goes. So there's a lot of things you got to be aware of in this week because a lot of teams are taking their guys out. We all know about Alex Smith being gone. And Tyreek Hill, those guys aren't playing for the final week. So they're ready for the playoffs. They're just getting prepared, and you don't want you guys to be injured, and it's understandable. So for fantasy owners, it's a very tough week. But have no fear, I'm here to help you guys out. Anyway, so let's start off as always with our quarterbacks for week 17. My starters, everyone's favorite guy so far. He's been living up for the last month of the season. Jimmy G, they call him Jimmy Garoppolo, aka Jimmy G. I like him. Versus the Rams. Rams are sending out all their guys pretty much. And yeah, the Rams is probably the biggest hit when it comes to fantasy. Talking Todd Gurley, you're talking Jared Goff, all those weapons that they have, they use. And especially Todd Gurley, I know that for sure. With him being out, that hurts a lot of fantasy guys because Todd Gurley has been the reason why you're in this position right now. I guarantee you, if you had Todd Gurley and you did not win a fantasy playoff, then something's wrong with your fantasy. The rest of those guys just probably sucked in because Todd Gurley has been an absolute monster the last couple weeks. But yeah, so Todd Gurley's coming there, and he's going to be gone. So that defense, you don't know, the defense is going to be gone too. So I like Jimmy Garoppolo against that Rams defense. Even with the Rams defense 100%, I still like Jimmy Garoppolo because he is taking command of this offense, and the 49ers are saying, you know what, just keep winning. We don't care about our draft position this upcoming draft, and nor should they because they have a future with their quarterback now. So I like what they're doing. Also start Drew Brees versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, I said that. This run-first oriented team, yes, it's looking like they're going back to the run now, the 09 days. But with that being said, I think Tampa Bay will be a whole lot tougher than what me and you both think. Okay, what you think? Because I think it'll be a close game. I think the Saints still win, but Very, very, very close game. I'm going with Drew Brees to light the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense up because their defense has been very, very porous running and stopping the pass. But I think they will contain the run game enough for to make Drew Brees have to throw it out and get over 300 yards, I believe. So I think it's going to be a pretty good game out there in Tampa Bay. Also, if you have Cam Newton, I get a feeling Cam is going to have a big game against Atlanta. Look, this is a wild card. I could be wrong because you get good Cam, you get bad Cam. But I think in this particular game, Cam Newton is going to shine and show why he's going to lead his team to the playoffs. And you never know what goes on. When you're in the playoffs, everything is out the window. It doesn't even matter. So I'm going to start Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Rams, start Drew Brees versus Tampa Bay, and start Cam Newton versus Atlanta. Now let's go with our quarterbacks. We want to sit down. Pat Mahomes is coming in. Patrick Mahomes, he's a starting quarterback now. So all you guys are thinking, well, let's get Patrick Mahomes. We haven't seen this guy throw a single pass in the NFL regular season. I don't want to do it. Do not touch Patrick Mahomes at all. One, weapons are gone. Tyreek Hill is gone. Due to personal issues going on or illness, whatever's going on with him, I don't know. He is gone. That's weapon gone. Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing with a bunch of second stringer guys. I'm not trusting Pat Mahomes as my quarterback in fantasy for 1 week, and we have never seen him go at all. So, guys, if you got Patrick Mahomes, take him out right now. Put somebody else in. Now, I do apologize in advance if he does have 400 yards for 5 touchdowns, but that's not going to happen. Also, if you have Matt Ryan in your lineup as your starting quarterback and you've made it this far, you have done it in spite of Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan has been so horrible as a starting fantasy quarterback. For me included, I know I've had it. I've had him in one of my leagues for at least 10 or 9 of the 16 weeks. So I know you're feeling. I know the pain. Matt Ryan has been a shell himself since last year. This year, it's totally different now. He hasn't thrown a multi-touchdown game. It feels like in like 8 or 9 straight games. So don't touch it. If you made it this far, kudos to you. Change your quarterback because they face a tough Carolina defense on a turf that I just, we got to see. We got to see. Also, I'm sitting down. Yes, Eli Manning. Sit him down. I get a feeling everyone wants Eli to go crazy, and if you pick Eli up, it's because you think that with the magic going on, it's his last home game, his last hurrah. Maybe it might be his last home game as a New York Giant. But everyone's thinking, man, he's gonna have this magic moment where he throws 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. And no, sit him down. Do not even start worried about Eli Manning. Stop that right now. Sit him down and get somebody else. Because if Eli goes out there and goes 18 for 32 for 175 yards and a touchdown, you're like, what were we thinking? So yeah, I think what they really want is a victory for Eli Manning. Not for him to go ham and go crazy and 400 yards plus. They just want a victory for him for his quote-unquote last game as a New York Giant at home. So that's probably what's going to go down. So quarterbacks that we're sitting down, we're going to sit down Pat Mahomes versus Denver. We're going to sit down Matt Ryan versus Carolina and sit down Eli Manning versus those Washington Redskins. On to the running backs now. Like I did mention before, there is no Leonard Fournette, so I'm very interested in seeing T.J. Yeldon in the game. I want to see Yeldon and see what he's all about. I'm not trusting Leonard Fournette playing in this game. The coaching staff would be crazy to have Leonard Fournette in this game. You want him for the playoffs when it gets cold. Say if you do win your home game and you have to go to Pittsburgh or go to New England, you want Leonard Fournette in your backfield healthy as he could be. I would not play him at all. T.J. Yeldon, start him if you have him. Chris Ivory, out of those two, I'm going with T.J. Yeldon because of his backfield presence as well. So he can make some damage happen. So I'm going with T.J. Yeldon. That's kind of a bonus for me because now who I really got, Malcolm Brown. Now there's no more Todd Gurley, but Malcolm Brown is still playing in the same system. So he's going to get the same looks that Todd Gurley gets. So I like his production against the 49ers who don't really have a good defense as it is. So I like Malcolm Brown versus San Francisco as the lead running back for this week. So you want to get someone, Malcolm Brown's a guy. Also, Bilal Powell. I like Bilal Powell against New England. He's been somewhat consistent the last three or 4 weeks now. I think the Jets don't have anything to lose. They're onto their second string quarterback. They don't have a passing game. run the ball. Bilal Powell's going to have that, looking to get about 100 yards, maybe a touchdown or two. They'll keep things interesting against the Patriots the first quarter and a half, and that's it. And the Patriots take over. But the Jets, don't look for them to be just, slinging that football, 45 times. It's not going to happen. They're going to go ahead and run the ball numerous times. I think Bilal Powell's shown that he is the face, not the face, but the guy at running back for the New York Jets for the time being. And also start Mike Davis versus Arizona. I like him. Yes, he hasn't had that much production from his. He's had a lot of volumes and carries the last 3 or 4 weeks. He's had double-digit carries. It just hasn't shown production. I think this week it actually shows. That Seattle offense, passing-wise, has been looking very, very horrible the last 3 or 4 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks maybe of the season. I don't know what's going on, if it's just chemistry or what's going on, but their offense has been looking very bad. But I think they get their running game going on because Mike Davis can also catch the ball at the backfield as well, as we've seen over the last couple weeks. So I like him versus Arizona. So I will start him as well. Those are guys that are kind of sneaky up there. Running backs, the running backs we're going to start Malcolm Brown versus the 49ers. So we're going to start Bilal Powell versus New England, and I will start Mike Davis versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, running backs, we're going to sit down, and we're going to sit down Alex Collins versus Cincinnati. That mixture that's going on, they had like a three-headed monster with Rex Burkhead, with Buck, and Alex Collins. And Collins is kind of the guy, but you kind of want to wait to see him for the playoffs maybe. But to where you won't be too cute with the change of running back. So I'm going with sitting down Alex Collins for this week. I think he'll be a big factor in the playoffs. But for this week, I was sitting down against a decent Cincinnati defense. They've been coming on the last couple weeks now. Also, sitting down Giovanni Bernard with the emergence of Joe Mixon back in the lineup. Giovanni Bernard, he is the guy that's going to come back down to earth. Fantasy owners are going to kind of hate that because he was doing a good job for them the last couple weeks. But now he's sitting down in that pine a little bit more than usual. I got, Joe Mixon's taking the shine away just a little bit versus Baltimore. I was sitting down. And also sit down Marshawn Lynch. Look, Marshawn Lynch, in my opinion, has had an excellent season. You heard it right here. Right, he's had an excellent season. The only problem is he hasn't been used much. Oakland got this guy, and you knew what kind of running back he is. Physical, powerful. You got to kind of change your offense to benefit him. And the Raiders did not do that in the beginning of the season, and it kind of hurt them. Marshawn Lynch could have easily had over 1,000 yards rushing this year. Easily. He's had 200 carries, almost 800 yards. That's basically 4 yards. He's had 800 yards, almost 200 carries. So he's averaging more than 4 yards per carry for the season. He just isn't getting any volume with it. He's not getting any reps. Oakland found themselves down 14-0 real quick, and then they just start passing the ball 40 times with Derek Carr. So Marshawn Lynch, I think the same thing happens. The Chargers go out there and have a field day against Oakland's defense. Marshawn Lynch probably plays first 2 quarters, and you rarely see him in the second half. I would sit down Marshawn Lynch if you have him in your finals going on. So to recap, running backs, we're going to sit down. Alex Collins versus Cincinnati. Sit down Giovanni Bernard versus Baltimore, and sit down Marshawn Lynch versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, let's go ahead with our wide receivers who we're going to start. And my main guy I want to start this week is Larry Fitzgerald against Seattle. Yes, we all know the first game against Seattle, he struggled. He did. I think in this game, there's no more Richard Sherman. There's no Cam Chancellor this time. Earl Thomas is still there, but I mean, he's still just a free safety. So I'm looking for Larry Fitzgerald. This could potentially be his last football game, period. I'm thinking the coaching staff, they have nothing else to lose. They want to give Larry the football as much as possible, I believe. I think Larry Fitzgerald has a great game, double-digit catches again, for almost 100 yards, maybe in a touchdown. I think Larry has one of those games again. Pro Bowl and everything, he's like fine wine. He just gets better as he gets older, man. That's what he does. So I'm starting Larry Fitzgerald versus Seattle. I'm also starting Bruce Ellington versus the Indianapolis Colts with no DeAndre Hopkins, who will miss his first game in his NFL career. And I said it in my last show, if I was him, I would sit out because this means nothing. You have a bad toe, as is what he's doing. I'm happy that he's actually taking that initiative. I know he's a warrior and a very great competitor and wants to play. I'm pretty sure someone told him, boy, sit down. We gonna call your mama. They probably called his mama. Mama came down and said, boy, sit your butt down for week 17 against a team that we don't have to worry about because we're not even going to the playoffs. Chill it out. So I like the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is actually going to sit down. look, the fantasy that I have him in, I'm already kicked out of it, so I already lost. So if he's gone, it doesn't bother me one bit. But for those who had him for the championship, I do apologize. But Bruce Ellington is a great pickup. I'll go with Bruce Ellington as my I will start him this week. And then T.Y. Hilton, if you have him versus Houston, I will start T.Y. Hilton. You're in turf, you're in his confines. He had a great game against Baltimore last week. 6 catches, 100 yards. So I think he's going to keep doing that, especially being on turf. And I like Indianapolis' chances of getting T.Y. Hilton the football. So if you have him on the bench or anywhere, get him back involved in the flex or as your 1 or 2 receiver. So my wide receiver starts. We're going to have Larry Fitzgerald versus Seattle. We're going to have Bruce Ellington versus Indianapolis and T.Y. Hilton versus the Houston Texans. Let's go ahead with my wide receivers. We're going to sit down. We're going to sit down. Dez Bryant, who's just been a freaking joke all year, in my opinion. It brings a smile to my face because I cannot stand the Dallas Cowboys. But that being said, Dez Bryant has been a joke all year. He's been on 22 straight games where he hasn't had 100 yards or more receiving. That is crazy for someone to be your #1 receiver, to not have a 100-yard reception. Now, I understand Dallas' offense has changed with the emergence of Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. But at the same time, if you're the #1 receiver, you're still going to get 100 yards every now and then, right? Right? Dez Bryant has been a joke. He's playing against Philadelphia. The reason why I'm saying sit him down because everyone wants to start him, because Philadelphia is going to be kind of depleted with not playing all their guys, and they think that Dez Bryant's going to have a field day, and I think he will not. So I will sit Dez Bryant down, get somebody else in that system. Also, I'm sitting down Martavis Bryant versus Cleveland. Yes, it is Cleveland, and it's still the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it might be a Pittsburgh Steelers team without Big Ben and without Le'Veon Bell. I don't know what's going on with that right now, but those two guys might be out, and you're thinking that Martavis is going to get a lot of the looks. No, you don't know the chemistry between the backup quarterback and Martavis Bryant. I don't trust that with Antonio Brown being out. Maybe be ready for the first playoff game for the Steelers. So with that being said, Martavis Bryant is the #1 guy, but I don't think he's going to play #1 style-ish, if you get what I'm saying. And last, I'm sitting out Doug Baldwin. I am. He's had a touchdown against the Cowboys, which is cool. But besides that, he didn't have much in that game. And if you're looking to really win your championship game, sometimes you got to make tough decisions in your lineup. I think if you have Doug Baldwin in your lineup, I would take him out against Arizona because this Seattle's offense has been looking horrendous, horrible, horrid. If that's the name. Is horrid a word? HORID. Maybe not. Anyway, with that being said, let's recap it. So, receivers that I'm sitting down, Dez Bryant versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sitting down Martavis Bryant versus Cleveland. And I'm sitting down Doug Baldwin versus the Arizona Cardinals. So, guys, that is my Week 17 fantasy, pick'ems, or who I'm rolling with, my starters and my sit-ems. Let me know who do you want to start, who you sitting down this week. Let me know, how did you do in your fantasy? I want to know about how did you do in your fantasy league. I'm in 3. I'm in the championship in 1. I made it to the semifinals in the other 2. And I lost in the semifinals. And I'm in the championship for this one. So let's go. So let me guys know who's on your fantasy squad and where you are in your league. And I'll let you guys know if you want to know about my league as well, who I got on rolling with. Let me know, man, in the comments down below. So please like and subscribe to Uneducated Network, where you see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and you can see many other shows on our channel. We are more than just a YouTube channel. We are a way of life. So, Uneducated Network presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton, and as always, sports fans, you know what time it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.